well, clearly very significantly in the short term, because nobody's able to travel to do face-to-face delivery or attend face-to-face training courses. Almost everything has immediately just gone online. So the first statement is almost the importance of being agile and very active strategies towards this are absolutely paramount now. And just switching everything to being online doesn't really solve any problem, right? So I think there is a tendency for organizations to throw things like digital content at the table as a sort of first strategy, because it enables them to push stuff out to now an audience that's working at home or whatever it is very rapidly. The question is then, does that really drive much value? So I think what we've seen, and I think this has been evidenced in lots of things, not just in a training and learning context, is that the value of live online sessions particularly have become disproportionately higher than they would have even been before. And you know, from our research, we already knew it was an area of growth within organizations, virtual instructor delivery, etc. sessions. So I think the first challenge is, how do I move faster, reach an audience that is inherently now virtual, you know, because a lot of them will be working from home. And I think obviously the virtual instructor-led element of this has become is very important. I think the second then impact is around that outcomes and impacts expression itself. So what really is effective here? Efficacy is an interesting word, right? So if all I'm doing is pushing online content to people and maybe tracking that they've opened and read it, that doesn't necessarily do anything for me. I mean, I need people to be effective when working remotely. I need them to be able to do a job. I need to be able to maybe coach and support them. And I think so those elements are maybe even more critically being able to do those in a supported way, right? Whether that's through a straight instructor-led delivery session, you know, a virtual IoT session, or whether it's almost through virtual coaching type activities as well. So I think, you know, overall in the scheme of things, we've seen obviously a shift away from, you know, travel and physical attendance very, very rapidly. We've seen sort of organizations have to, you know, start by maybe pushing content at people, but then realizing that's not enough, so they have to add to other elements to it. And I think ultimately this, what it's doing is to some degree sweeping away some of the barriers to change that have been there anyway. I mean, this is not a, you know, what we're doing is doing things that were already starting to happen and already happening more, but we've just literally stopped certain elements of them temporarily while we do it. And I think some of those elements will come back, absolutely, but they will not necessarily have, you know, some of the barriers for change will have been process. And I think organizations, both in terms of how they look at their workforce and where that workforce operates from, will also look at learning activity in a different way around it. The final bit, I guess, is just from again, thinking about this in scale, is the complexity of how I manage that. So arguably, I would say organizations are doing, you know, when they're not running big face-to-face delivery events, they're running maybe 10 times or 100 times the number of virtual related events instead. That creates a significant increase in complexity around potential scheduling and delivery. You know, but it obviously simplifies certain elements of resource things, like, you know, I'm not worrying about physical classroom events and so on as well. So I think, again, it's really relevant to understand how you do that well and effectively. And, you know, again, all of the arguments we really talked about before about how you track, how you optimize, how you make decisions around do things, I think just are accentuated in some ways now, even if we don't physically have to travel there.